live feed for 4 o'clock. The top 50 greatest MCs, the true top 50, the true 50 greatest MCs according to Coogee, right? Kumo D. Kumo D wrote this book over 20 years ago about the true greatest MCs in his book. Now we're gonna resume with number 40, Slick Rick the Ruler, Master of Storytelling. Let's get into it. Well, I'm sitting on my lunch break, gritting my teeth. It's the day of the week. Last day of the week, boy, what a relief. My muscles kind of ached. They felt rigid and stiff. So I looked around. I looked around and I smoked this big flat split. Now I'm happy as can be. I'm in this pothead spell. I put some Vaseline in my eyes so that no one can tell. It's 12:55, almost time for the bell, with the breath mist so that the mouth don't smell. Now back on the job, I don't bother no one. I keep strictly to myself, and all my work gets done. Now the job's finally over. It's time to have fun. I'm hanging out with Jack, the pastor kid named John. They got me drunker than a skunk and happy as can be. We went to the Latin quarters, and we got in free, screwing all the girls like nothing with my truck jewelry, cause I'm a blind brown brother, and you can't school me. Woogie Down was performing, and they ain't no joke. And a bunch of Brooklyn kids was looking all down my throat. Was it a big clothes with the big place on them? Then they rolled on me and told me, run. Ladies and gentlemen, and lowlifes, it is with outstanding pleasure that we are here to present Slick Rick the Ruler, MC Ricky D, and the art of storytelling. Slick Rick raised the house art of hip hop storytelling to a level never seen again, using multi voices to portray multiple characters, moods, and feelings. Slick Rick and his alter ego MC Ricky D broke all the conventional rules of rhyming that preceded him. Rick added a comedic, dramatic flair to the game. Formerly in the Kango crew with MC Dana Dane, Rick was the first MC I ever heard use somewhat of a Victorian English accent with his rhyme flow. This alone would have been enough to separate Rick from the pack. In conjunction with him referring to his competition as low lights and crumbs and wearing more truck jewelry than anyone in the history of hip hop. Exception of Eric B., Slick Rick separated himself from the pack and came off like a straight royalty. Although Rick's first LP, The Riches of Slick Rick, was released in 1988, Slick Rick had a huge underground following in New York since 1984. In 1985, he joined Dougie Fresh, the Get Fresh crew, and they produced two all-time classics, The Show, Lottie Dottie. This combination was so powerful and flavorful that most people thought they were going to be an even bigger supergroup than Run DMC. Unfortunately, the new duo parted in 1986. It took 2 years, but when Rick emerged, he had one of hip hop's classic albums, four classic singles, and reputation on the streets as one of the MC greats. One of the most significant things that Rick accomplished was being totally original at the time, when most MCs were using very similar cadences. That's not to say that MCs were not original. In fact, this was what is known as hip hop's golden era. The diversity, individuality, style, and substance in hip hop from 1985 to 1990 was at an all-time high. Almost every imaginable subject matter was artistically covered at a high level. MCs were the lyrical vanguards of hip hop's budding cultural dominance. And Slick Rick was the most unique MC of the bunch at the time. Creating an alter ego and then using the dual personas to bounce off each other as if they were two different people on the same song was simply genius. One of the other things that made Slick Rick unique was that he was the only MC at the time other than Will Smith, the Fresh Prince, that would tell a story with himself in a vulnerable position. Plain and simple. There's nothing conventional about Slick Rick. He could also push an envelope with songs like Treat Like a Prostitute. He tells men to never respect women until he ensures she's worth it. Under normal circumstances, this would be an outrage. However, Rick always managed to keep these type of messages under the radar because of his masterful, immediate delivery, hardcore track selection. Songs like these were limited to being cult classics. Also, Slick Rick hit hip hop like a supernova. He had some legal problems, spent some time in prison, and although he continued to record, he never had the same impact on hip hop that he had in 1985 and 1988. That said, when you hit like Slick Rick, the greatest can't be questioned. Strength, Slick Rick, storytelling, colorful flows, and this Eric Rick is untouchable. Weakness, a lack of substantive substantive lyrics. Rick wasn't heavy on the positive messages. Favorite record, The More I Feared, Mona Lisa. Favorite LP, Riches of Slick Rick. For his originality, according to Kool was a 100, originality for 100, because Rick innovated the flows, upgraded the storytelling, took on double personalities. Nobody did that before him. No one has done it since. If they did, they didn't do it as well. 90 for concepts. The first album was simply a classic. Behind Bars and Artillery didn't capture the same level of match that he had. The first album was over perceptual, based on it being a classic. Songs like The Moment I Feared, Moment Mona Lisa, and the Kid record where the car was talking back to him, that was all concept. Number 80, versatility, his versatile and his flow and his storytelling. But he loses some points on the versatility of the subject matter. 60, vocabulary. But he keeps it simple because of his rhyme style. He didn't get get on the rhyme, so he will have lost people. Number 95, number 65, substance. Because it's about having fun. Rocking the party with fun stories and having a good time on his accepted MC. Flow, 100, self-explanatory. The flavor is crazy. He has Kool gave 100 in flavor, 64 freestyle ability. Rick is conceptual. You can tell he's a writer. He writes his rhymes and puts a lot of thought into it. He can do it, but it's not his focus. Vocal presence, 90. Rick's voice is very distinctive. Once in a while, people are confused with Dan and Dane, but that's because they were in the same crew. 70, about performance. He's a lot better when it's Rick and Doug together than when it's Rick by himself. Since his rhyme style is so exceptional, I have to get into listening to the stories, and it doesn't leave him room for a lot of theatrics, but he still brings it across pretty cool. 65, poetic value. It's about fun storytelling, not about being poetic. 80, body work. We don't know what would have happened. He had to stay in prison, took a lot of his momentum. The Behind Bars album showed had other things on his mind. It didn't come off too well. When he came out, yeah, the art of storytelling, which is fine, but the classic album alone makes it score up. 65, industry impact. He was like a supernova. He was in and over real quickly. He came back and did his thing, but that he could, but he didn't get a chance to make this impact in the industry because of the time away. Social impact, 65, same as industry impact. Longevity, 90. Even though he took time off, he came right back on stride. Still making records right now with the art for storytelling at the end of 1999. There's still 15 years with a couple of interruptions. 70, lyrics. Rick is not about lyrics, being a lyricist, but rather about telling stories and rocking you with the concepts, the inflection, and the verbal attack. Battle skills. 60. Rick is not a battle MC. He's not in it for that. Doesn't mean he can't do it. Doesn't mean he couldn't be able to turn it on if he had to. But for the most part, Rick is an exceptional party, fun type of MC, and people wouldn't even think about battling Rick. 1,310 was the total score, with an average score of 77. That's it for a look at Rick, master storyteller. That's what he was. Greatest storyteller ever. Number 40, according to Kool in his book, The True 50 Greatest MCs, Kool. Right, so that's it. I'll be in number 39. We'll see who's the 39th greatest MC in Kool D's book. So until then, talk to you soon.